Good evening, everyone. This is Rajendran here, joining from Market Calls, and welcome everyone to Market Profile and Option Trading Part 2. So here in today's agenda, we're going to discuss about the volatility principles. We are going to understand how to identify different volatile phases in the markets, why identifying the volatile phases matters for the trader, and how to understand the market dynamics. And of course, Nifty futures, weekly sentimental check, and market profile reference levels. So my name is Rajendran. I'm the founder of Market Calls and co-founder of webinars. Right, I've been writing about markets for quite some time now. Since 2007, I've been keep on writing in Market Calls. Now we've been the founder of webinars, a community of traders to bring or to build an intelligent trading community. Right. So if you haven't seen webinars, go and check www.webinars.com, and hopefully we are doing many webinars, especially on the weekends, right? Especially on the weekends as well as weekdays, live training sessions, many things we've been doing around. Just go back and check it out. You might find many interesting webinars over there. So my expertise is primarily on tools like market profile, order flow, and trading system development, especially on the automated trading side. And the software which I've been primarily using is Ami Broker and Ninja Trader kind of software. Otherwise, I had experimented many software. I experimented ranging from Spider, Falcon, and then MetaTrader, MetaStock, eSignal, Market Delta. You name any software, I would have tried that. Finally, I settled down to Ami Broker and Ninja Trader because that is where I'm able to build my own ideas. I'm able to convert my ideas into indicators and trading systems. So finally, I've been sticking to Ami Broker for quite some time now, more than a decade. And Ninja Trader 8 is my recent addiction. Right from 2013 onwards, I've been using Ninja Trader 7, but the last 3-4 years, I've been migrated to the latest Ninja Trader 8 version. Now, on top of that Ninja Trader 8, I'm using Bell TPO tools for market profile and order flow studies. So if you want to check out, you can always go and check out belltpo.com for any market profile and order flow kind of tools. So I'm a core index derivative trader. I used to trade in, I've been trading in index futures and options for quite some time now. At least I would say that more than a decade. My trading career started from 2006 onwards, but primarily I shifted to index futures and options trading right from 2009 onwards. At almost 11 plus years of derivative trading experience, and most likely initially I started my career as an investor. So slowly after that 2008, 2009 kind of volatile phases, I shifted myself into systematic trader, right? And later on from 2014 onwards, I kind of shifted myself to semi-systematic discretionary trader. So before getting into the session, just give me a quick confirmation about the audio and video quality. Is the audio and video quality is good, so that we can quickly start with the session. There is a Q&A section is there, where you can just type yes if you are able to hear loud and clear. If everything is fine, you just type simply yes. All right, great. Milind, Puneet, Ritesh, and Sendil, Vankumar, Manoj, Vinay, Deepan. So I guess to all the old people who were attended part 1 and who were newly joined in part 2, right? So I welcome you all, everyone, to the session. So here in today's session, we are going to discuss about volatility with the current market conditions, how I can understand volatility, and of course, why you should focus on the volatility. That is what the primary agenda is, to get some expertise on volatility. So probably if you think you don't know what is about volatility, probably this session could be a primer for you, especially if you want to be an option trader. You need to have a fair idea about market volatility. In the last session itself, I had emphasized a lot. In this session, we are going to look even more in a detailed fashion. So let's start with the cycle. So last Friday, this is most of the index closing, all the Asian markets, European markets, American markets closed positive. Probably the vibe would be reflecting on Monday opening. At least at the opening, we might be seeing that, right? So things are looking fine. At least last week it was kind of a big gap down, kind of on 500, 600 points kind of gap down is what the market had shown. At least some relief in the weekends for the investors and traders. Though we don't know what is going to happen on Monday, but at least the things haven't ended badly. Even though the weekly overall price went down, Friday closing, it's been a calm closing across the globe. So we are stepping into the Monday markets with a calmness, which is fine. And yeah, the I guess everyone would have seen this market cycle. Now, can you tell me from this picture, where do you see our current markets like Nifty or Bank Nifty? Where do you see? How do you value these markets? At what stage we are right now in? So all these are psychological cycle: the bear trap, or media attention, enthusiasm, greed, delusion, new paradigm, denial, bull trap, or fear, or capitulation. You can just type it out. What do you think about Nifty or Bank Nifty? More or less, both are going to be having a same set of correlation. All right, I'm just seeing that many people are typing that bull trap, return to mean, fear, Nifty downside, return to mean, bull trap. All right, so many people are going for a bull trap and return to mean. Fear, any negative or bad news would bring down volatility. Beer, right? So yes, I am seeing a lot of mixed things. More people are voting for bull trap, and more people are voting for return to mean. I guess that is the impact of that large fear and capitulation. So many people might be voting for this return to mean and the bull trap kind of cycle. So yeah, probably many people are voting for this, the bull trap. Some people are thinking that this is a dead cat bounce. So oops, I'm sorry. So many people are voting for either this, the bull trap, or some people are even saying that it's return to mean kind of stuff. All right. So anyways, we could be either in a bull trap or a despair, but we could have a fair idea about, when you have a fair idea about volatility, we know that what is likely to going to happen, because at least we need to have a better way of valuing the markets. First, let's look into the classical Wyckoff style of market cycles. Right, this is kind of a psychological based. However, Wyckoff, right, Richard Wyckoff, he had designed the markets into 4 phases, 4 stock market cycle phases. One is accumulation, another one is markup, and then distribution, followed by markdown. So in accumulation zone, most likely smart money will be coming and playing. You see that it's a lot of choppy zones. The accumulation, it's all about choppiness. Volatility will be there. Fear will be there in this case, right? So volatility will be there. Maybe I'll put up a different color. So here, volatility will be there. Choppiness will be there. That is where smart money, they love to accumulate in this zone. They would like to start their positions over here, most likely the smart money. So what you will be seeing, it's volatile, fear will be there, a lot of fear, and a lot of anxiety will be there among the traders. Anxiety, tensions, fear, everything will be running around there. Like something which we had went down during the lockdown condition, like the very first coronavirus lockdown happened in India around March 23rd. We had a lot of volatility, a lot of fear among the investors, a lot of anxiety among the traders, because market has been crazily moving like a 600, 700, 800 points. Right? And markets started showing its volatility, craziness, a lot of unpredictability, too much of fuzziness. And I don't know what is going to happen tomorrow, whether this will go to 7,000 or 6,000, that kind of confusion. Now, those are the places smart money would like to accumulate at those levels. And then, yes, of course, when there is a good breakout is happening, if it is happening, right, there will be a reaccumulation also. reaccumulation also. And there'll be a clear trend will be there. The clear trend is where the momentum traders will come and play the markets. The momentum traders will be coming and playing the markets. And finally, when there is a reasonable profit is there, they will tend to do distribution. Even in the distribution phase also, you'll be seeing volatility. A huge volatility, kind of a maniac kind of phase. Nobody want to believe that the trend is about to end, right? And then which is followed by that markdown where smart money will be finally taking their exit. Already distribution, they will start closing in profits, and markdown is followed by again, that is where the volatile phase, extremely volatile phase. This markdown is the phase where extreme volatile phase, extreme volatile phase. Whereas the distribution phase will be kind of a calm markets, calm and super positive. People will be yelling for bigger levels like 13,500, 14,000. They'll be talking about economy will be going to 5 trillion, right? $5 trillion economy. That kind of super exotic talks will be there among the investors, right? So super exotic talks among the investors. Of course, investors are always having their positive attitude. For investors, every level is a buy. If you keep on checking the TV channels or the analyst TV channel or analyst opinion, you never hear them that the market is going to be bearish. Very few people talks about bearishness. But most of the investors in the markets, they love to accumulate at every level. For every level, they find an opportunity. That's what most of the investors in the markets are all about. So you always find a positive attitude from those investors. Mostly it is good in a bull market, but something like this kind of a bear market, which started from January 2020 onwards, things might go haywire for them once in a while. Once in a while, they end up in tensions, investors. But most of the time, they are calm, cool, and of course, they enjoy the markets most of the time. Unlike traders. Traders, of course, they have to struggle because they do have something called market-to-market losses. Investors, they don't have. Right? So investors always they'll be looking for things, what I do have to do now, what I have to do now. That kind of tensions will be looming around the traders. Am I doing correctly? Am I doing? Am I making anything wrong? Where I'm making mistakes? Right? This is the constant worry about the traders. However, investors, they don't have. They always have a cool head. Even some investors, even if there is a 40-50% crash, they can take it lightly, right? But when there is a distribution activity is happening, you will be hearing from most of the investors that super exotic talks are happening in the markets. When such kind of talks are there, you know that this is kind of a capitalization zone. Right? Most people are in disbelief that economy will be doing good, and that kind of talks will be keep on happening. Now, this is an exact replica of what happened in gold sometime back. This is back in 2016. We have a accumulation which started most likely accumulation zones. You can see that it's low volatile. Still, it's low volatile. The fear is completely reduced. Fear is there, but that fear will be start reducing. First of all, market will reduce its fear. It will be starting with fear. It will be starting with high volatility. But over a period of time, you can see that December month, January month, and February month, most of the time the candle length of the candle and that slowdown of the sell-off got arrested. Right? So slowdown in sell-off, fear got arrested, and at the same time, followed by that a good breakout. That is where an markup phase will be there. A good breakout, good volatility. Volatility will be good. One-sided markets will be there, and then followed by reaccumulation. Again, you can see some reaccumulation over here. Reaccumulation might be happening, and again one more breakout. So a markdown phase is where the traders enjoy. Traders and investors, they enjoy the breakout levels because in the markets, most of the traders are breakout traders. That is because it's very simple to do that, and most of the traders, they love that markup effect. Followed by that distribution, again one of the worst phase in the history. usually more positive talks. So here you'll be finding more negative talks over here, more negative talks. And in this phase, more positive talks. So these two phases is where, so here fear will be still there, but that fear will be reduced. So here greed will be there, but that greed will be increased greed. So that's a subtle difference over increased greed. At least you, by looking into that structure, you will get to know. We can compare the structure and you can ask the question yourself. What is happening in the markets? What is the general mood? If you read the newspapers, you will get to know that. Or at least you just go to the, scroll through the portals like Bloomberg or Money Control or ET Now kind of portals, you will get to know what is the general market mood, what generally people, analysts, everything is, what everyone is expecting about the markets. What is the general overall mood? You will get to know that. At least you go back and check the social media sentiments, you will get to know that. What is the overall, whether there is a fear is running among the investors or there is a greediness is among the investors. So the distribution is a phase where too much of greediness and that too increased greediness will be there, and still market will be moving sideways. And at times even that could be a lot of breakout failures will be possible. That's what they called as in Wyckoff term, they called as a spring, right? So in volume spread analysis, they called it as a spring. You can just search out spring VSA, you will get to know that. It's kind of an fake out or shake out kind of mechanism, where especially when the fear is reduced or if the greed is increased, now those are the places you will be seeing such kind of increased greediness. All right. So let me show you the recent Nifty charts, how that increased greediness played out. It played out for a long time in Nifty, almost more than 2.5 years, I can say that. So let me show you the Nifty chart. Clear the drawings. And I'm going to open AMI broker charts. And I'm going to go to the daily time frame. So if I go to the daily time frame here, for time being, let me remove the volatility. And I prefer to use a bar chart, most likely. Oops, maybe this should solve. Daily, probably weekly will do. So here the volatility phase has been going on for, it's a bigger distribution phase, I would say that. It's a bigger distribution phase. And this distribution phase has been going on since 2018 onwards. So watch out the 2018 high. The 2018 high is around 11,800. And then it keeps on making higher highs, of course. But still, the returns wise, investors felt that difference around 12,000 levels here, approximately, and 12,400. That is what they call a spring, right? They try to break out, but then it ends up in a breakout failure. So most likely kind of an fake breakout mechanism you could have seen in most of the Nifty stocks. But return wise, the investors are struggling. Right from 2018, they've been struggling. Here 11,200, hardly from here to here another some 6% returns. From here to here hardly 1% returns, and hardly from here to here some 2% returns. Right. So markets are not doing much since 2018 onwards. Volatility is there, but it's a controlled volatility. So these are the phases you'll be seeing that market will try to crash. Again, it comes back. It looks like it's a crash, and then it comes back. It looks like a crash. It comes back. Now, people don't believe in any crashes. People, they don't anymore believe in such crashes. So that is why you'll be seeing divergence on your indicators. And finally, when the crash happens, nobody want to believe that it's happening for real. Right? So the reason is market always digests the news factor. So the negative news is something not new for the markets. Here we had seen NPA crisis during 2016, 2015-16, not here, but 2015-16. This entire phase, it's all about NPA crisis. Market was trying to fall on the negative news. But that is only one phase where market reacted to the negative sentiment. And the next time market reacted to the negative sentiment is over here. It's a big negative news. For every negative news, market reacted on the downside. Whereas there are phases market digests those negative news also. That's what market dynamics is all about. There are many phases, especially this phase. This is where we started talking about war between India and Pakistan. Like I guess you would have understand that Balkot attack, right, happened between February February 2019, right? So where our Indian soldiers went and attacked into our enemy territory. So despite the negative news, market started moving up. In fact, this entire zone here, people talked about the slowdown fears, India slowdown fears, right? So market started digesting those negative factors, but still keep moving up. But finally, it reacted to that negative news. People thought like it may not fall much, but it had done the damage. And now here again, despite all the negative news, again we've been rising. Despite all the lockdown fears, all the coronavirus infections, deaths, right? The entire world is in pandemic. Despite that, market has been rising for the last couple of months. The volatility, if you think about the volatility, let me pull up the volatility charts. This is a recent volatility. I'm just showing on a hourly time frame. So the markdown phase, as I said, this is a phase where the fear increases tremendously, extreme fear. The extreme fear where the VIX also increases, volatility index also increases. This is a phase you'll be seeing the fear will be increasing day by day. All of a sudden, you'll be seeing 3% crash, historical crashes, which never happened in the last 52 days, or which never happened in the last 52 weeks, or the crashes which never happened in the human history. That is the kind of crashes, market crashes, the news and media channels will be talking about. Now, that's an indication that we are in a markdown phase. It's a clear markdown phase. Volatility will go to the extreme. Now, followed by that, now, if you see after March 23rd onwards, volatility started settling down. Even we are still in a fearful environment, right from March to the start of the April contract. It's still a high volatile phase. Time-wise correction went. Still, it is a fearful environment. But despite the fearful environment, there was a slowdown in fear to some extent. Still, the fear was extreme. Every day, people have been talking about 6,000 kind of levels. And still the fear has been there, but it was started slowing down. Probably I could say that it's a peak fear which we experienced during 23rd of March. Now followed by that, April month, completely where the lockdown 2.0, most of the lockdown 2.0, market went sideways. And of course, little excitement happened over here. Some little excitement happened in the last 2 days of April expiry. Otherwise, majority of the time, except that, market completely went sideways in lockdown 2.0. This is lockdown 1.0. Lockdown 1.0. Still it went volatile, but extremely volatile. Lockdown 2.0 is still volatile, most likely, but it's a very good range, almost 600-point range. In a controlled range. And now we are in lockdown 3.0. Here we are in 3.0. 3.0 is even more worse. Like it was just, the fear is completely eliminated. If you see the volatility has been slowly reducing. Haven't reduced by, just like that overnight, it haven't reduced. Initially, we've seen bigger fluctuations. Later on, followed by medium fluctuations. Now the fluctuations is getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. So this is what we call as a market dynamics, right? There is a change which is happening on month. The market, what we experienced in May, is not the same as April. The market, what we experienced in April, is not same as what we are experiencing right now. What had changed is that the mood in the market has been completely changed. Now the fear, what we experienced during May 23rd, has been completely digested because market has a discounting mechanism, despite all the negative tensions. Usually market go for a discounting mechanism. It discount fears, it discount greeds also at times. So If you think about this phase, this is a phase when there is a near to the end of the trend. This entire trend is where the most of the policy controls will be coming in. Despite the policy controls, government, they will be trying to implement policies. RBI will be doing something else. Right, you'll be seeing policy controls either here or in this phase. Despite the policy control, market will start going down, thinking that the policy is no more working. This is true. If you go back and check the US markets as well, you'll be seeing that whenever any policy control is coming in, or probably any measure is taken to arrest the fears, initially price will go down against the policy, but it will take some settling down period, some 3 to 5 days of settling down period. Even if you go back and check the crude, right, you will be finding that similar mechanism would have been imposed. For example, let me take the crude oil charts, the US crude oil. So here is the crude oil charts. Of course, this is not crude oil futures. So here is NYMEX crude. The policy measures has been taken here. The OPEC plus meet happened, and then the production cut has been taken place. So somewhere, I think somewhere in April, they've been talking about OPEC production cut. So despite the production cut, they went down a little bit. That is where the fear happens. Whenever such extreme fears are there, when measures are taken, any policy measures are getting taken, still initially price moves against those policy, making the people think that the policy mechanism is bullshit and it's no more working, right? That kind of policy measures, people, that's a phase people will start hating the government. Usually traders, investors, everyone will be yelling at the government saying that their policy measures is not enough. But despite that, after some point of time, it slows down, and the recovery phase, it keeps coming up with a recovery phase. And people, this is where people will be in disbelief. Still they don't want to believe the government. They don't. They will think that government is not efficient, and despite that, they don't know why the market is moving against that. So that is the kind of disbelief usually happens if any kind of measures has been taken. Now let me correlate with the Nifty, right? So probably better to take examples from Nifty. For example, I think when the last RBI policy announced, any idea? I guess you people might have an idea about what the RBI policy happened last time. When the RBI policy happened last time? Any idea? You can just type it out. At what date the RBI policy announcement started? April 3rd, right? So April 3rd. So let me put it in perspective. April 3rd, somewhere here. This is a phase, the April 3rd here, right? So April 3rd, some RBI policy measures has been implemented. Again, that particular day, market went down. Again, any government policy imposed, market would have went down here. So again, some place over here, again, some measures has been implemented. Again, market started going down, thinking that it's not effective mechanisms. When the finance minister was implementing so many measures, market started going down, and people are literally in fears. The same thing when the US market also started, the Fed started printing money, right? They started putting the policy announcements. Such a kind of fearful environment was there, but it settles down. Usually it settles down in a very, very short term. And then the disbelief started, the disbelief rally starts. So what we had experienced here is a clear disbelief rally so far. It's a slow and steady disbelief rally. And overall, from the volatility perspective, what happened is that the volatility has been completely eliminated. We've been slowly returning back to normal. I'm not saying that the volatility has completely removed out. Still, volatility is there. Little amount of fear is there among the masses, but still, compared to March 23rd, the volatility has been substantially reduced. Now, in order to understand the types of volatility, there are 5 types of volatility we can classify it. One is price-based volatility, usually something like a seasonal volatility. Seasonal volatility is like, let's say, hotel industries. They'll be thriving in summer, and especially the movies, they'll be thriving in summer. So some phenomena are quite seasonal, especially commodities or agriculture. Agriculture stocks most likely depends upon weather or rain. So then there'll be a clear weather pattern will be there. So there'll be a seasonal volatility will be there. All of a sudden, you'll be seeing that sugar stocks will be keep on going on in a particular month. If you just go back and check, you'll be finding that a seasonal pattern in sugars or Maruti sales, especially on an celebration times like Diwali or New Year kind of timings. The Maruti kind of auto sector usually it tend to move up. Especially the season will start around September and keep on going till Jan kind of month, like 4-5 months. That seasonality will be there because more discounts will be there, sales will be increasing, more people will be looking to buy cars after the September season. And there are times market will be driven by emotions, emotion based, like COVID fears. The recently what we are experiencing right now is an emotional based volatility. And then there are a lot of various measures. Relative volatility, where we will compare with one stock with another stock volatility. For example, high beta stocks, low beta stocks. There are many counters which shows high beta, which shows high volatility compared to Nifty. For example, the stocks like probably like Lupin kind of stocks, where it is high beta compared to Nifty. If Nifty moves by 1%, Lupin kind of stocks, it moves by 5% or 6%. So we can compare volatility. For example, if let's say that these kind of relative volatility are compared. If Nifty moves up by 1%, let's say Nifty underlying benchmark, we will be comparing always with the benchmark. And in case of an high beta stocks, it usually relatively move a little bit higher, something like 2% move or 3% move. For example, something like Bajaj Finance. Those kind of stocks are mostly highly volatile. At least in the last couple of months, it has been extremely volatile, and still it is volatile compared to Nifty. If Nifty moves up 1%, Bajaj Finance moves up by 3% or 4%, or if it moves down by 2% down, and the Bajaj Finance will be showing extreme volatility on the downside. There are low beta counters as well. For example, the low beta counters like Power Grid. If Nifty moves by 1%, hardly the Power Grid will be moving by 0.3% or 0.4%. Compared to Nifty, the Power Grid will be moving very, very lesser. So in my studies, I prefer not to use relative volatility. I prefer mostly I prefer to use historical volatility. Historical volatility is the actual volatility. So probably we can go and check out in the NSE India portal. Every day they publish the report under the terms of annual volatility, or you can also figure out intraday volatility. And the implied volatility, of course, most likely it's a measure which is done based upon the option traders' expected volatility. What the option traders are expecting for the current month. What is the option traders' expected range in the next 30 days? So implied volatility is more of a futures volatility derived from the option trading instruments, especially from the at-the-money calls and at-the-money puts. And then finally, market volatility. This talks about the overall market volatility. Overall, what is the fear and greed running in the markets? So the volatility measures like India VIX. So if you are very new to India VIX, you can go to tradingview.com, type India VIX. So here you'll be able to get the overall market volatility. So overall market volatility, you see that the fear has been rising. The volatility went extreme. In fact, it's a volatile measure. It ranges from 0 to 100, right? So here it even reaches levels like 86, kind of an extreme fear during that month of March. The fear has been continuously rising during the month of March, and April it cooled down. And last week it started with a little bit of volatility, but still it started cooling down. So overall volatility is there. That is why there's still the values above 38, 30. Anything above 30 is considered as a high volatility. So what the market has been currently we are experiencing is still it's a high volatility. However, we have been off from the extreme high volatility. Extreme high volatility. Extreme high volatility is usually unsustainable. And right now, we are showing some moderate volatility. What we are experiencing is a moderate volatility. Decent volatility, decent swings in the markets. Not a big swing, not a small swing also. Reasonably and moderate level swings. So in these kind of moderate swings, why I'm saying here is that you have to control your thoughts. You cannot have a bigger expectations in the near term when we are experiencing this kind of moderate volatility. And when we are in a low volatile counters, of course, you have to control your expectations a lot. Those are the places you'll be seeing a slowly moving markets, like a snail. Market will be moving like a snail in the low volatile counters, low volatility. Whereas in a high volatile markets, market will be moving like a rocket jet, right? Rocket jet. Whereas here in a moderate volatility, it's neither a snail, neither a rocket jet, probably an constantly moving like a train. We can say like a train. It's like we are moving like a train. It constantly moves. It doesn't slows down. It doesn't goes too fast. Right? It moves like a train in a constant pace. That is the kind of market we are in. So we cannot have an extreme expectations in the markets. Extremely highly moving markets or extremely fast downside markets or downslide in the markets. So we need to have a controlled thoughts over here. If you're not going to have a controlled thoughts, right? If you're going to keep your expectations wrong, if our expectations in the market goes wrong, then obviously we end up unwantedly losing our money, especially in options. If you are an option trader out there, and if you're not right in your volatility expectations, there are times you will end up with right opinion, but still your positions may go wrong. This usually happens for the option buyers. Yeah, at times, option sellers will be mostly lucky. Once in a while, they end up losing money. Like the COVID-19 kind of crashes, they will end up losing. Other times, they are mostly lucky because volatility is not the only factor. There are a lot of other factors which saves them. But if you're an option buyer out there, or if you want to become an option buyer, you need to have a right volatility expectation. You need to know what is happening in the market right now, what kind of volatility is going on. So what kind of volatility is going on is not a high volatility, not a low volatility, kind of a medium, moderate volatile expectations, a constantly moving train. Now let's go back and check even more detail. Let's go and check what are the different ways of volatility. So we had seen 5 types of volatility. What volatility I prefer to use is, I prefer to use indicator-based volatility. We call that as a realized volatility. And also I would like to use implied volatility and market volatility to get a perspective. So in the last example, in the last part 1 session, I had said that volatility will help you to control your expectations. It will help you to control your emotional thoughts about the market also. And volatility also helps you to design strategies, especially if you're an option buyer or an option seller. You can design your own strategies using the implied volatility. Maybe in the upcoming sessions, we look into the implied volatility in detail, but this is just a primer. So what are the different ways I prefer to use, or I prefer to measure the volatility? I prefer to use Bollinger Band, not much, but I just generally I try to have a look what is happening in the Bollinger Band world. And then ATR volatility, of course, on a day-to-day basis, I'll be having a check on ATRs, especially to measure the intraday volatility. I prefer using tools like AmiBroker kind of tools, right? So if you see my AmiBroker tool, I'm having an simple scanner out there. So there's a simple scanner. If I click on explore, so last couple of days, I'll be able to see the high to low volatility. I measure something called high to low volatility. I measure something called ATR volatilities. These are the 2 volatile factors I'll be figuring out, or close to close. From yesterday close to today's close, what was the volatility? But I give more importance to high to low volatility. If you see that the high to low volatility has been slowing down, the numbers has been slowing down. The last Friday range was 154 points of volatility, and last expiry 111 points, one of the lowest volatile days in the last 4 or 5 expiries, 4 or 5 weekly expiries. Last week was one of the slowest snail pace expiry. So on the daily charts, what I'm seeing here is that the volatility is slowing down, volatility is cooling down. And of course, I would like to check out the weekly volatility also. If I go back and check the weekly volatility, so I can change the time frame to weekly, and I'll say last 5 weeks. I'll say like last 5 weeks, maybe last 10 weeks on a weekly time frame. Just give me the last 10 weeks volatility. You can see that the volatility for the last 5 weeks has been tremendous. So there are March month, some week it went to like 2000 point swing, 1700 point swing, 1500 point swing. Now slowly there was a reduction in the volatility, 600, 772, 512, and again 675, 647. Last week we had experienced the lowest volatility. So weekly also the volatility is cooling off. Weekly volatility is cooling off. Daily volatility is cooling off. So means definitely you have to come up with a controlled expectations. If you're not coming up with the controlled expectations, then obviously things might not be working as you anticipated. Maybe you might be having a thinking like market will go down to 6,000 levels. Our market will definitely this month it will go to 10,000 or 12,000 kind of levels. If you're having that kind of expectations, probably you have to learn to control your thinking. If you're not going to control your thinking, you have to lose your opinion. Maybe market might be right. You might be thinking that market might be bullish, but market might not be touching what you are expecting, because we might be having an uncontrollable thoughts. If you want to have a controllable thoughts, you need to know what is the right volatility which is going on. What I am seeing is weekly and daily volatility is slowing down. A simple scanner will tell you, or simple ATR based charts will tell you. All you can do is you can add ATR to your charts. So let me add an ATR to my charts here. So I'll add ATR, right click and I'll insert. I prefer to use a blue color and then a thick line. So this is weekly volatility. Weekly volatility has got stalled. The weekly volatility increased, but it stalled at some point of time. Weekly ATR has been stalled, but actually, if you look into the weekly volatility, it's been slowing down from extremely high. High to low volatility is slowing down, right? So, but ATR volatility is stable. High to low volatility is slowly getting down. That means the length of the intra weekly candle, the weekly candle length has been coming slow and steady. Previously, we used to have a bigger weekly candles in third week of March, fourth week of March also bigger weekly candle. Now from April onwards, we had a bigger weekly candle, but it's slightly reduced in length. Now the length is even more getting controlled. So there are many times when the volatility started cooling off, the volatility, the range of the candle, the high and low range of the candle will be getting compressed. So maybe I'm just thinking that what if this month also I'm going to see a compressed week. This week also, the second week of March, May also. What if the second week of May is also, we're going to see a compressed week, one more compressed week. In that case, how I should deal with the markets. And if you see the daily volatility, you will be surprised. It's been continuously, right from March 23rd onwards, it's been on a slow and steady decline mode. And of course, I prefer to use something like an 10 as an ATR, because I don't prefer to use 15 as such. Instead, I prefer to use something like 10. So if you see the 10, the volatility is continuously on the declining path. It's been declining for quite some time now, almost 2.5 months. More than 2 months, it's been on a declining mode, which is controlled volatility. A lot of compression is happening in the markets. Volatility, we call that as a volatility compression. So here we have a volatile expansion phase where volatility expands. So these are the places which is much beneficial places for the option buyers. Option buyers. This phase is also good. Initially, there was a decline in the phase. This phase is also good, but it doesn't mean like whatever you buy, it will go up. This is a phase. Whatever you buy, this phase, whatever you buy in options, it will go up. Whatever you buy. You simply buy the call option, next day it will be opening gap up and you will be profitable. Or if you're still holding up, again it will come down, again it will crash, again it will be like 200-300%. So whatever you buy, you will be seeing some sort of profits every day. That means you have to timely booking the profits. In such a case, it will be profitable. But here you have to be selectively profitable. You have to be, still this works, but you have to be right in the direction. In that case, yes, you will be end up making some 100% returns or 200% returns kind of things. But now it's not the same case here. Right now, what we are experiencing is if you are an option buyer, right, you have to be really careful because the volatility is slowly slowing down and down and down. It keeps on reducing its ranges. It's not the same markets. You have to definitely come up with uncontrolled thinking. Once in a while, there is a crash, and then next day, nothing, as if like nothing is happening. Now, this is the same thing which we had spoken in the last week also. Now also, I'm saying that you have to come up with a controlled expectation because volatility in the market is cooling off. Maybe 1 out of 10 days, we will be seeing some spike. Rest of the days, markets are most likely going to go neutral. We'll be seeing some surprises here and there, but majority of the time, markets are likely to show some control, lesser control environments because not much of happenings from here on. And yeah, market returned back to the normal. Slowly, economy is restarting back to normal. Some amount of fears happened last Monday, and then again, things are getting back to normal. So maybe this might be continuing till the next earnings season starts. So maybe until then, that could be, even if there is a decline in the markets, it will be a slow decline. Even if there is any decline in the market, it will be a slow decline. So most of the time, options will be spending in time erosions or something like they will try to go down. They will try to go down for 1 or 2 days, followed by some pullbacks, right? And then again, slow down, again pullbacks. So kind of a slowly time-based correction is what I'm expecting here. And that is what it happened also. If you see the charts, if you see the volatility charts, there is a time-based correction. Initially, it was a big volatile swing, but still it is a time-based correction. And again, a time-based correction. And again, we are right now in the phase of time-based correction. When it is a time-based correction, if you are an option buyer, if you're not controlling your thoughts, day by day, you're going to lose your option premiums. And of course, the option writers are going to take advantage of the option buyers. And if you're an option seller, yes, again, if you're having a controlled thinking, you can make things right. And in fact, we are also going to look into one of the option writing mechanism, which some option writing techniques, we're going to look into that. Kind of an bearish option spreads. I'm going to talk about that. Kind of an kind of a calendar spread, we can say like that. So what we learned from here is that time-based correction is happening. It's happening since March onwards. It's been happening. March and April month time-based correction is completely different. Right now, what is happening in May is even more super compressed time-based corrections. I guess, I don't know how long this is going to continue, but so far we are in a range. Now, these kind of phases is where you might be seeing experience some kind of failures, breakout failures. So far we had seen some one breakout failure over here, and there is one breakout failure. They try to break out and then again they failed. Probably they will try to break down again they will fail. So breakout failures are very common, especially broader level consolidation. Breakout failures are going to be very common in these kind of time-based correction markets. With the volatility subsiding, you will be expecting the such kind of fake outs most of the time. The trend which is looking like a breakout is not a breakout at all, because we are in such a extremely low fearful environment. Such kind of places, market will show something and then they started moving on the other side. They will try to move on the upside and then all of a sudden they will crash, or they will go on the downside again, all of a sudden they will try to go up. So here is one another breakout failures over here. Breakout failures is one thing which is consistently happening in the markets. Consistently. So breakout failure here. This is breakout failure 1, and this is breakout failure 2. This swing has been broken out and then failed. Again, this swing has been broken out here and then it failed. So this is breakout failure 3. Now we need to search out where was the breakout failure 4. Probably I think it's going to be on the downside. Chances are high that initially there could be a breakout failure on the downside followed by a pullback. Maybe again second half May could be a bullish one. That is what I'm thinking at this point of time. I'm just thinking that maybe some fake out failures followed by that trying to move towards 9,800 or something, kind of in the second half of May probably. So next week I'm just likely to have a bearish approach, not too bearish, but like a controlled bearishness. Now, how we can take a controlled bearishness approach? That is where we need to look into further data points, further idea about the volatility, because lot many things contribute to the volatility. We had seen 5 types of volatility, and we also learned how to measure volatility. Of course, Bollinger Band I prefer to watch once in a while, but I am not a Bollinger Band user. I am a more of an ATR based user where I can measure the actual volatility. And also India VIX and implied volatility, you can understand what kind of expected move, what kind of range we can expect from the India VIX and implied volatility. Maybe next week we talk a lot about India VIX and implied volatility a little bit, so that you can understand how we can measure the range of the expiry. But there are a lot of other ways to measure the expiry range. So to start any month, what we're going to do here is we're going to do a top-down analysis. This is just to have an objective thinking. Of course, there's a small typo over there. It's a monthly charts. The title was reading as a daily charts. The monthly charts, if you see the monthly charts, it's been one time framing down continuously. Last 5 months, it's been keep on going down and down and down. Still, the previous monthly high is not broken. This is Jan high, and then Feb high, March, April, and May. So still, this sequence is keep on going on. And of course, monthly low is 8,045, 9878. Last 2 months, if you see, April month is an inside bar. It's an inside bar. This month is also so far an inside bar. So I don't think we'll end up having a very low volatility. Probably second half of May, volatility has to improve a little bit. So probably either this month we are going to see either 8,045 or 9878. I think most likely 9878 is most likely possible in the second half of May. And at least this monthly one time framing can be broken at least once. Usually market does breaking this one time framing on the upside very often. You can see that the down time frame here, the one time framing happened for 1, 2, 3, 4, and then they had broken. And here they had done for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then they had broken. So 4 or 5 months, usually they tend to break. The one time framing doesn't happen in the market on the downside, at least on the monthly scale. So maybe if any upside target for this May series, I think probably 9,878 could be the interesting zone. This is for the second half of the May, probably second half of the May, second half of May month. That is after this next week, after the next week, when the second week of expiry ends on 14th or 15th of May, right? I think 14th of the May is what the second week of expiry is going to expire. After that, second half of the May series, I'm expecting some sort of a bullishness. I'm thinking that this one time framing sequence, which is happening for the last 5 months, probably it can go on break. Because usually even in extreme bear markets, since the volatility has been cooled off, people are getting back to normal. Maybe there'll be temporary knee jerks will be there in the next series. So that's why I'm just going for a mild negative approach. But second half, I'm expecting price to pull back a little. This is based upon the volatility expectations and from the market structure. The market structure, last 4 weeks, we never seen such kind of an continuation of a 5 weeks of down or 6 months of price going down. We never seen that. And then weekly charts, if you've seen that, weekly charts also had continued that pattern for almost 6 weeks. They continued. They kept on going up for almost 6 sessions. 6 weeks they continuously made an higher lows, and last week that has been broken. That has been broken, and yes, we also anticipated that because of the SGX went down, and higher chances are that price is coming down only to break 9,200 levels. Last series also I had said that I'm not expecting more bearishness. Probably a controlled bearishness is what I had anticipated. Now, you can see that the daily charts, if you see, look at the daily time frame. Of course, the volatility has been cooling down. Many traders would have been seen that, many traders, as I said, last series, in the part 1 series, I explained that there is a trend line. Many traders watch trend line. There is a trend line breakout. After the trend line breakout, you can see that there is no continuation of the downtrend at all. Instead, it is going sideways. So if let me put that things in perspective, if you put everything in perspective, I can see that monthly trend is still down. Weekly trend is sideways, right? And daily trend is also sideways. So daily and weekly, nothing is happening. There is no clue that what the price is likely to do. Prices keep on going sideways. When prices keep on going sideways, more traders will be coming and competing in the markets. More and more. So right now, what I am seeing in the market is that on a daily basis, from market profile charts, I'm seeing more and more traders are coming and competing in the markets. So more and more trader competes, usually market goes in a sideways mode. When more and more traders are coming and competing, usually there will be a lot of breakout failures will happen. So one such breakout failure is what I'm going to expect. Probably I'm going to expect something like kind of an breakout failure, maybe price going and testing towards 9,000 kind of levels, pull back and keep moving up slowly, steadily towards 9,800. So this is I'm expecting in the second week, and probably this is in the 3rd and 4th week of May, 3rd and 4th week of May. Right. So I'm just looking for a knee-jerk reaction followed by a pullback. Probably that could target in the second half towards the 9,800. Let me tell you why. There are a lot more evidence I had collected, a lot more data points I had collected. One is this trend line breakout that is making traders to feel a little bit of bearishness. Of course, whenever a trend line breaks, right, usually traders will get into a bearish mode. Traders are slowly, they are showing their bearishness. Of course, in spite, I can show you what are the levels traders are showing their bearishness. What are the levels that traders entered with their bearishness? We can easily feel it by analyzing the market profile charts. Right, and I also showed that the daily volatility is cooling down. The volatility for the last couple of days has been one of the lowest volatility, and I expect this volatility to continue in the next 4 days also. In the entire next 4 days, we are going to see an intraday volatility of approximately around less than 200 points. Previously, we used to have 200 plus points with a little bit of improved volatility. Now that volatility is cooling down, I guess most of the time we are going to see a volatility less than 150 point intraday range, less than 150 point range, because volatility on monthly also cooling down, weekly also cooling down. So I'm just expecting daily volatility, daily intraday range, the high to low range of the candle. I'm expecting that around less than 150 points most of the time, most of the next series. I mean, most of the next week contracts. Upcoming weeks, I'm expecting less than 150 point intraday range by looking into this data point, because volatility on the monthly and weekly is slowing down. And so if you see the weekly option contract, you can see 2 things which are happening out there. One is 9,000 put is being written, 9,000 PE, which is having the highest open interest. Of course, option writers are thinking that 9,000 is the base support on the weekly open interest, and on the upside, 9,500 call option is being written on the call side. Of course, 10,000 also. At least there is a range which is expected for the next week is that 9,000 to 9,500. 9,000 to 9,500 is the expected range. which you can confirm by putting some straddles or strangles. So let me add some strangles, weekly strangles. All right. So let's see what is the weekly strangle is all about. If I try to add an strangle or straddle, let me first put straddle. From the short straddle, what you can measure here is that what option writers are thinking. So option writers are thinking that for the next week of the expiry, that is on the 14th of March, option writers are expecting a range. So this is the range they are expecting, 8,939 to 9,560. This is for the next week expiry. So they are expecting a 9,000 to 9,500 range. That's how they have been positioned. So far, it is working good for them. But if you look into the monthly, strangles, monthly I prefer to use strangles because still volatility is slightly higher. So monthly I'll go for a short strangle. Instead of short straddle, I'll go for a short strangle where different strike price will be selected. 9,200 put is return and 9,300 call is also sold. So you will be getting a range. So the range is like, if you see the range is from 8,939 to 9,565 as of now. 9,565. I think I have to change it to monthly. That's a mistake I am making. Monthly strangles. So if we put monthly strangles, I have a fair idea that the monthly strangle zones is between, what is the range we can expect? We can expect a 8655, of course, and then 9844. So this is the range we can expect. But at the same time, if you check the monthly open interest, if I go to the open interest tab, the tool which I am using is an option action tool. It's a free tool. You can go and download from optionaction.in. It says 60-day trial, but still you can use it. So if I go to the monthly, you'll be able to see that from the monthly charts, 9,000 is where the put writers are getting defended. 9,000 PE put writers are strongly defending these level. Probably even if price comes down to 8,900, around 8,970 kind of levels also, they can do some adjustments because they are pretty much well protected around these levels. So even if 9,000, let's say this level is 9,000, even if price is sliding down, it's going down below 9,000, there could be intraday rally or next day rally is possible because they can manage to some amount of cushion they can expect. So 9,970 is the kind of a range where you can expect some sort of a panic to kick in from the sellers that will motivate more emotional sellers. Anything down below 9,000 levels or anything when the price is reaching the 9,000 kind of levels, more emotional sellers we can expect. Right? More and more emotional sellers will expect. Most of the time, they will end up themselves into some form of a trap. But if you want to not to get into that emotional trap, you need to know what the monthly option traders are trying to do. They are writing comfortably around 9,000 levels. On the upside also, they are writing around 10,000 levels. This is 10,000 call they've been writing. So broader range for this month, 9,000 to roughly around 9,000 to 10,000 is the option writers' expectation. Right? Not necessarily 2, but this is having a high probability. Most of the time, these numbers changes. But currently, their expectation is that they're expecting, the option writers are expecting this entire month price to trade majority of the time between 9,000 and 10,000 levels. So if you look into the other part of the May, we had discussed about May monthly open interest. May strangles, we had seen that entire month they can trade between 8655 to 9844. So which also matches with our expectation. Most likely 9,000 to 9,800 is what we have to think for the entire May month. Overall, from all these conclusion points, from the weekly data point, or from the monthly data point, or from the May strangles data point, right? So the May monthly, they are writing 9,000 call options. So finally, my thinking after all these, looking into all these data points, my thinking is that 9,000 to 9,800 plus is what a right expectation. Maybe slightly something like 8,970 is what a worst case and downside expectation, and worst case upside expectation is 9,800 plus, which also goes and breaks the previous month high also in a worst case. In the worst case, 9,800 plus, that is a previous monthly high. That is the April month high can be broken in the second half of the May series. So that is what I'm just thinking at this point of time. And probably let's now look into how we have to play the recent markets, how I have to immediately position myself, what are the information I have to look from the market profile. Now, if you ask me, I would ask you to go back and check the 7th May activity. Now, if you see the 7th May's market profile activity, you might be finding a lot of surprise over there. The surprise is that if you see the letter C period, D period, the C period, and then G, and then I think this is I and J. C, G, I, and J are exactly having the same reference level. Now, these kind of things are done by traders. Usually next week, there is an odds that 9170 can be revisited back. 9170 can be revisited back because so many traders are controlling this market. As I said, last couple of days, I've been seeing so many traders controlling this market. On the downside, 9170 is where more and more traders, they started entering at those levels, which I'm thinking that next week, there are more chances that 9170 has higher odds of taking it down. Next series, next week itself, next week, in the next 4 days, one of the day, the price might be coming and touching 9170 levels. So probably in those case, maybe whatever the SGX Nifty is showing right now, SGX Nifty, I think it's showing around 9350 levels. If you go back to the live SGXNifty.com, you will get to know what is the SGX Nifty currently trading. I think it's trading a bit positive. So let me go to live SGX Nifty. So what we can figure out from the live SGX Nifty is that live SGX Nifty is somewhere, okay, 9313 is what it is currently trading. Some bit positivity is there because of the global markets closed positive. But Monday, it might reflect the different reality. All right. So overall, SGX Nifty is trading positive, but that's fine. Not much of a bigger impact in SGX Nifty. But I'm thinking here that this reference level is one of the important reference level. The 9140. Let me zoom it. The charts, what I'm using is a Ninja Trader charts. On top of that, I'm using a bell DPO indicator. I'm just using the Nifty May month contract. You can see the letters C, G, I, and J. So that particular day, it was like price was keep on falling to a certain level. Price went up. Price opens here. It went up, and it was falling around 10:15. Again, it was falling around G period. Again at I period. Again at J period, and started moving up. Like the C, G, I, J, all these letters having exact reference levels. So maybe if you're watching from a 5-minute chart, let me show you how the candlestick chart looks like. Probably if you're not a market profile kind of guy, probably if you're watching from the candlestick chart, let me show you how the 7th May activity went up. So that's where the market profile, let me show you in 5-minute charts. This is on May 7th activity. Let me go to the May 7th activity. You will be surprised to see this kind of levels. If I draw a level over here, you can see that how many times it is getting touched. Can anybody count that? On May 7th, watch out the May 7th activity. I'm just showing a very interesting reference level. If you're watching it, maybe you might not noticed it. This low, what was that low? I think somewhere around 9177 or something. Let me check to be very precise. That low is exactly 9173. 9173. To be very precise, 9173.75. 9173. 9173. Again here, not only once, there's one more time, 9173. One more, 2 more times, exactly 9173. I guess these kind of traders, they trade price-based levels. Most likely these guys who are price goes down, traders are coming and buying. So most likely they are traders buying. So here also traders are buying here. These guys also traders are buying here. Of course, naturally they are traders. Then naturally they are traders. When price opens gap up, they try to book some profits. We do, right? If when the price is moving in our favor, like 200 points plus, don't we think we will be booking profits? Because who are buying here are traders. The traders are the one who trade levels usually. So traders are coming and buying exactly at those levels, and they generally trying to book profit. That's what it happened on last Friday. Last Friday, price opens with a gap up. They started booking profits. In fact, on the second half also, despite the bullishness, despite the gap up open on 8th of May, profit booking started. So profit booking started. How do we know that profit booking started? Probably you can go and check something like an open interest kind of data points. If you go back and check, you will get to know what happened on last Friday. Let me go back and check the NSE India portal. So in the NSE India portal, you can just simply type Nifty derivatives. You can just go back and check the futures open interest. This page loads a little bit slower because it has a lot many data points. So index futures, let me pull up index futures here. I guess there was a mild addition. Nifty ended up by 30 points higher on that particular day. But if you look at the open interest, oops, it's not getting loaded. Somehow Nifty is been off late. I mean, the NS India page is off late. It's loading very, very slower. Anyways, there is a marginal addition in the open interest, very mild addition. If you see that my addition is only 801 contract. 801 contract is nothing. So means majority of the time market slided. Market was sliding since the open. Majority of the time market was sliding. So most likely it's a kind of an very few longs got added, but most likely profit booking happened on that particular day because price traded positive, right? Not much of a change in the open interest. Initially the open interest was big, but slowly the open interest started reducing. That means some amount of new addition happened. At the same time, more old contracts got closed. That is what we can infer from this information. So here, mild addition, but at the same time, mild profit booking also happened. That's why price went down. Price went down and open interest was mildly up. So, but if you see the visual reference level, this is one important reference level which I am thinking that maybe next week it is possible. 9170 is possible again. Even if there is any Monday opening gap up, we are seeing an immediate resistance also. If you see last Friday structure, it's a kind of a double distribution structure. The structure itself kind of a double distribution. There is an immediate resistance is getting built around 9280 kind of levels. There's an immediate resistance, a kind of a single print zone, which could act like a resistance. Maybe I think what I'm thinking here is probably even if the price opens here around 9260 or 9280 kind of levels, we might push down again back to the 9170 zone. Followed by that, some sort of a downside for 1 or 2 days, and then a pullback towards 9400. That is where the actual bullishness starts. That is where the actual bullishness starts. So 1 or 2, 3 days of settling down on the negative side, and probably from the expiry onwards or 1 day before expiry, the bullishness should start kicking in. So until then, I'm just expecting immediately. I'm expecting downside targets towards this prominent point of control. Maybe that could be, we can call that as a T1, and T2 is this visual reference level, and finally a T3, which is nothing but there is one more weaker point of control on the downside, right? So 9120, followed by some amount of panic. Maybe they might try to break 9040 levels or 9000 levels. The psychological support, right? 9,000 is at this point of time considered as a psychological support. Maybe 9,000 can be broken marginally, followed by a pullback. That is where most of the option writers, especially the put writers, are expecting as a support zone, followed by a rally, maybe a faster rally with the volatility picking up, right? So until then, it will be a slow and steady corrections, ending up with some sort of a panic, breaking out the balance which we've been talking on the hourly time frame, right? This hourly time frame, we've been talking about this balance. This balance probably breaking slowly, steadily, and people yelling up for that it's just going to be a big crash, and then market pulls back. Slowly, they move towards the 9,800 in the second half. That's what I'm thinking. At this point of time, this view is, for me, it is having a higher odds based upon the whatever the inputs we are having at this point of time, based upon the volatility, based upon the option positioning. I'm just thinking that this is currently possible at this moment. At least initially, the next week is going to be mildly bearish. So that is the reason I had started writing all those expectations. So whatever I had done, I had taken an Excel sheet. So here is my Excel sheet. So we always start a week with a top-down analysis. Top-down analysis, we will not get any signals. Instead, we will be getting a higher view, what is happening in the markets. So last 5 months, it has been going down. Last 2 months, price is trading like an inside bar. Weekly trend is clearly up to sideways. So far, it is getting like a kind of a sideways. It's supposed to be a sideways, right? So kind of a sideways. Daily is also going on like a sideways. No clear direction on weekly and daily. Monthly is at least last 5 months, it is in a downtrend. Volatility in the markets has been slowed down. Daily volatility has been slowed down. Weekly volatility started slowing down. India VIX is at moderate volatility levels. So that means you need to come up with a controlled expectations. Controlled expectations on the volatility front. Top-down analysis, there is no immediate trend expectations. So from the market profile levels, there are 2 levels I'm just monitoring. One is 9,400 levels. Let me tell you why. So 9,400 is like one of the key important reference level on the upside, which is a positional reference level. You can see that this 6th May high, the 6th May high, not the 6th May, but I think this particular day, the 5th May letter B and letter I levels are exactly 9,400 levels. And not only that, let me zoom a little bit. I just want to show it up. Look at the B period high and the I period high. They are exactly to the 29th April low, which is roughly around 9,400 levels. Here, the high is also exactly at 9,400 levels. So I've been watching these levels very precisely, most likely done by traders. This is also traders are coming and selling these levels. Traders are coming and selling these levels. In fact, traders also coming and sold last Friday at different levels. You can see that the traders also coming at various levels. Look at the letters of last Friday's activity. B, C, E, all are sharing the exact reference. It is like price coming down, going back up to a level, again sold off, again going back to the exact same level, sold off, again going back to the exact same level, sold off, making a high, again H period, again at I period, selling off, right? So traders been continuously keep on selling this market. They sold here, they sold at 9,400 levels. They sold at 9,400 levels, which is above here. So this is the level I've been talking about. So the traders been selling at these levels. Traders been selling at these levels, and they've been buying at the lower levels also. Traders been buying at these lower levels also. So that is where I'm thinking that this market may be opening a little bit higher. They start coming down. They will try to clear what the traders had initiated. So traders bought here, right? However, traders sold over here. Traders sold, right? So maybe first to flush the downside traders, try to flush them, try to create some sort of panic, and then try to recover and then hunt the stop loss of the other traders. There are a lot of weaker traders, they entered over here. A lot of weaker traders entered on the downside also. Traders entered on the upside also. So I'm expecting next week going to be a volatile month, more volatile week. They will try to go down initially, try to stabilize, and then they will start moving back up towards 9,800 in the second half of the May, 9,800 plus. That is what I'm just thinking at this point of time. All right, so that's how I've been positioned myself as well. So immediately it will be bearish. So to play the scenario, how we can position with options is that if you want to play with a controlled volatility, one way is that you can go and create straddles, right? Weekly straddles you can go and create, but I don't do that. I'll tell you why. So there is a weekly straddles you can go and create. So if you go and create straddles, your upside also protected, downside also protected. This is triangles. Instead, let me pull up straddles. You can create either a straddle or a strangle, but it's slightly risky. Let me tell you why. So here is the weekly straddle with a very good risk reward and risk reward ratio. Downside, you are protected till 8,939. Downside, it is protected till 8,939, and upside it is protected till 9,560. Right. So as long as price is going to expire over here, your profitability is more or less guaranteed. But if there is tomorrow, there is one negative news and market goes down, you have to take up with a huge downside risk is there, right? So you know that straddles, especially in high volatile markets, are not preferable. So currently the volatility in the markets are moderate. So anytime the volatility can shift, just like that, there could be a sudden spike in the volatility, or one bad news, you know, something crazy thing can happen. Or all in a sudden price will again, they will open gap down by another 600 points down, and they will try to pull back up. So we'll be lost in the volatility. If you don't want to get lost in the volatility, there is a better measure over there. It is called the kind of an bearish diagonal put spread. Right? So that's what I had done here. So at this point of time, if somebody is going to expect a bearish put spread, they are having a downside risk. Even if there is a big downside move is coming in, something like price going to 8,500 or 8,000 by next week, your downside losses are getting protected. Almost like kind of an the loss was around 2,400 rupees per set. That means approximately there was a loss of 2,400 divided by 75. 2,400 divided by 75. Right? That's the kind of loss in terms of points, Nifty points. And max, they can expect some 8,600 plus points. It is exactly around where the Nifty is, around like 9,200. If Nifty is going to expire around 9,200 levels. So this is a payoff graph. Especially around, if Nifty is going to expire around 9,200, you want to get the maximum benefit. That is approximately 120 plus points benefit over there. Whereas if something is going to go beyond 9,500, which I think this view is going to be less likely, 9,500 I'm expecting, but that too in the second half of the expiry. So this expiry I'm thinking of closing around 14th of May. So I think this is having a slightly bullish odds. Even if you're having market is going extreme downside, or markets are going mostly going sideways or extremely down, you are very well protected on the extreme downside. And that too, this strategy is protected between 8,700. This cutoff point is 8,700, 8,780 to be precise. And the upside is defended up to 9,443. Right. So until this strategy is mostly profitable. And yes, this is kind of an option writer strategy, because it's kind of an we call this a diagonal put spread, where current week options we've been writing, and we are shorting a put, and long dated put options we've been going long in the 21st of May expiry. So most likely kind of an neutral to bearish strategy is what we can say. That slightly bullish, nothing happens. Moderately bearish, things will work out. Or even if the market goes sideways also, one can benefit out of this strategy. Of course, the strategy doesn't give an extraordinary super duper profit, but this kind of controlled volatility, you need to control your thoughts. So this is one such strategy where it provides controlled thoughts. It doesn't give super duper returns, but a reasonable expectations. If you have reasonable expectations, if you are right in your opinion, you will be rewarded accordingly, right? So there is a simple way to estimate what if scenario. If you want to do a what if scenario, you can go to strategy, go to analysis, and say, what if the Nifty is going to expire anywhere between 8,600 and let's say a step size of 50. And let's say on the upside, I'm just expecting 9,800 is the maximum thing. If I'm going to check it out, it will give me an estimate on the day of, supposed to be on the 14th of May, right? So 14th of May. If I try to fill the table, you will be able to find that Nifty is profitable anywhere between 8850 to 9,400 plus kind of levels, more or less, if the Nifty is going to expire in this band. If Nifty is more or less likely to expire in this band, strategy is more or less safe, and downside risk is extremely protected. Upside risk is slightly there, right? But still controlled. As I said, since the volatility is controlled, markets just like that cannot move unless there is a super duper extraordinary, some news is going to happen or strong fundamental change is going to happen. Even if it is there, the strategy is having a limited risk, limited reward. So if you are having a control thinking, then probably this diagonal put spread or diagonal call spread is what most likely a bearish diagonal call spread, or most likely a bear diagonal put spread should be one strategy. I think I might be preferred to experiment in these kind of volatile markets, because markets are not super bullish, markets are not super bearish. We are in between, like a controlled volatile phases. Because market, something has been changed. What has been changed is that the volatility has been completely slowing down. Like kind of a grip is there. Well, the volatility is not going too high. Volatility is not going too low. So in this kind of phases, we need to play with some sort of a controlled risk and reward environment with a reasonable expectations in the markets. All right. So if you are a buyer out there, as I said, immediately I'm expecting bearishness. If you're an option buyer, I'm expecting an immediate bearishness, most likely towards this level, the level 9173 kind of level. We talked about this, right? So where multiple times price got touched exactly at a certain level. Probably if you're watching from the candlestick charts or from a bar chart perspective, I also showed you from the bar chart perspective, it's like this level. So this is the level I've been talking about, where I'm expecting some stops would have been built below the zone. Somewhere here, I'm expecting some stops would have been built below this zone. Most likely market will come down, probably something like they will try to go up and then they will try to fall on the downside to hunt the stops, because some stops naturally will get built in. Whenever the traders are coming in trading there, naturally they used to keep a stop loss at these levels. I'm just thinking that stop loss at these levels. I'm also thinking that some stop loss is around 9,400 levels, and also more stop loss is getting built in these levels. At these levels, I'm seeing more and more stops here. I'm seeing a stops here. I'm seeing a stops here. So I'm just expecting first to stop to hit this downside, followed by that an upside move to go and hit the upside. So kind of making a choppy move. So you cannot be holding a short position for a long time, and you cannot holding a long positions also for a longer period. So this is what the expectation is. The other side of expectation is slightly crazy. Like it's been, they try to take the 9,400 first, and then they will come back and clear this 9,160 first. Overall, I'm expecting a sideways market environment. No matter what, the bearish put diagonal spread or bearish call diagonal spread should be working in these kind of choppy environments. Overall, I'm expecting a choppy environment. Nothing much to be in a nutshell. So I guess markets are going to be slightly confusing, and people will be wondering, I guess, what is most likely to going to happen next upcoming week. Let's see how things are spanning out. So last session we had been experiencing a controlled volatility. Now this market, even more controlled volatility is what I'm expecting. I'm not super bearish, I'm not super bullish, but whichever the side market is moving, as a directional trader, I would like to move in that direction. I'm coming up with a neutral mindset. I'm preparing to trade longs also, shorts also. But positionally, I would like to position myself as a slightly with a bearish opinion. Positionally, right? Slightly bearish opinion. Most likely going and testing 9170 on the downside is what my immediate bearish expectation. Positionally bearish expectation. But from an intraday perspective, I'm okay to trade longs also. I'm okay to trade shorts also, because when the markets are showing controlled volatility, right? Morning it will be going up, second half it will be going down. Or first half it will be going down, second half it will be going up. So you need to come up with a controlled expectation there also. You should be willing to take a long opportunity also. You should be willing to take a short opportunity also. But overall, you should come up with a limited set of thoughts for the next week. I explained why. I also given the reason why you should expect these kind of scenarios. Let's see how things are getting played out. Of course, these are only for educational purpose. If you are trying to play the scenario, think about your risk, reward, everything in mind. Try to check, validate all the factors, whatever I had spoken over here. Try to check, consult with your financial advisor if you have any, right? So don't try to go with your emotions just because I had said that. Go back, sit, validate, think, and then validate what are the data points, whatever I had said is true or not, or how I had come up with this kind of view, right? Try to analyze and then try to estimate. So before leaving, I'm just going to show you one more interesting data point. So from the overall market profile, there are a couple of visual reference level. One is 9,400 on the top, and 9,173 on the downside is what I'm expecting. These are the two levels. Probably, most likely, this first breaking on the downside. Maybe this break, I'm expecting to break 9,173, and also probably this 9,100 kind of levels, most likely. Worst case, I'm expecting price to go down below 90.50. That is where a sharp pullback can possibly happen. This pullback may not stop, maybe. That's what I'm just thinking. If any turnaround is happening over here, maybe you need to look for some positional trading opportunities towards 9,400. Towards 9,400. And maybe in the second half, they might be slowly moving towards 9,800. That is in the second half. So as of now, my visibility for the next week is immediate visibility is between 9,170 and in worst case 9,150 and 9,400. So this is the expected volatility, my expectation for the next week. So that's why we are having a slightly bearish to neutral view, right? So followed by that, I had uploaded my expectations. I'll also share it in my Telegram channel. So my Telegram channel is marketcalls_.in. Let me upload my expectations. So here's my expectations. I'll post it in my Telegram channel. Later on, you can go back and validate it. You can use it for your reference. So my Telegram channel ID is here. My Telegram channel ID is marketcalls_in. At the rate of marketcalls_in. You can just search it out. You'll be able to get in Telegram. Use at the rate. So overall, I had placed my thoughts. Otherwise, there is a new sentiment also. I'll look into that. So Reliance, if you see Reliance has been continuously hitting the wires with a positive new sentiment every day. Facebook is taking some 10% stake. They're injecting some 43,000 crores. Again, some couple of billions from Silver Lake and Vista. And last Friday, like yesterday, right? Again, another news announcement like General Atlantis, and now Saudi Arabian companies are willing to take a stake in Reliance Jio. So Reliance is continuously hitting with the positive news, and in fact, Reliance also had done a V-shaped reversal. So V-shaped reversal. I'm just thinking that probably what I'm thinking about Reliance is that what it had done so far is a kind of a neat V-shaped reversal. There was a big downtrend followed by a big uptrend. It is like a markdown followed by a markup. There are no accumulation, there are no distribution, but a clear markup. Markdown, supposed to be a markdown. Kind of a panic scenario with the high volatile downside followed by a high volatile upside. Kind of a markup. It is like almost price crashed almost by 45%, and complete recovery of those 45%, entire 45%. And I guess most likely Monday sentiment is likely to be positive, but I'm just thinking that most likely it's kind of an exotic sentiment is going on around there. You have to be a little bit careful if you are a buyer, because a lot of laggards activity has been showing up. especially from the market profile perspective, lot many laggards has been showing up. So maybe more and more new sentiment flow is good. So news is good, but thing is that it's still kind of an extreme positivity is there. Just give me a second. All right. So one have to be really careful with these kind of extreme sentiment. That extreme sentiment is what going on in Reliance. The ICICI Bank also moderately positive results, and only the fundamentally Moody's had released a report that India may see 0% GDP growth this fiscal year. Not a bigger one because most of the rating agencies market doesn't takes it seriously unless there is some strong credit rating is happening. So that's a mild negative sentiment. And closing sentiment of the most of the global market has been extremely positive. So right now we are in a calm market situation. That's what we had from the news. Not much of a major news impact on the downside. Also, upside mildly bullish. That is there. Of course, that is reflected by the SGX Nifty itself. So maybe we need to check on Monday something has been changed in the equation or not. Right? What is getting changed? We need to check it out. So overall, my expectation is that sideways activity in the next 2 to 3 trading sessions, up move could start above 9,400 levels. So initially, I'm expecting downside move towards 9170 and even a little bit lower, followed by a bottoming out effect. Price rises back above 9,400. Probably in the third and fourth week, I'm expecting Nifty to touch something like 9,800 kind of bullish levels. That's the maximum expectation I'm just having for this week as well as for the entire month. So if you understand the market dynamics, we talked about that. Markets are mostly forward looking. If you understand, yesterday there was a US employment report has been announced, unemployment report, that closely some 14 million lost their jobs. But still market went up. Market went up despite there was a misery is there. It's a big, deeper negative news. Despite the bigger negative news, market started looking into the forward, right? And of course, there are a lot of fear and greed, emotions has been embedded in our DNA. That's what it makes us to think that that's a bearish thing. But market doesn't care. Most of the time, it moves against those human emotions. Market discounts such kind of news factors. Extreme negative news or extreme positive news. Usually, markets discounts those things. It discounts the recent COVID-19 deaths, right? So think about the amount of deaths which are happening on a daily basis, the job losses, infections, shutdowns, complete business has been in a shutdown mode. And despite the market declines, everything got discounted and markets are still rising. And yes, a little bit of fear is there still among the people, but it has been a controlled fear. So I believe like so far, that could be an opportunity from a trader's perspective. Trying to control your expectation is the first key towards stepping towards the or exploring your trading edge, right? So let me close the session here. Thank you for coming and attending, and I hope we will be having a part 3 webinar coming in. That will be super exciting. More details will be sent to your email directly, and all these session is completely recorded. The entire recording will be sent to your email ID again. Thank you. Thank you for coming by and attending, and thank you for spending your wonderful night along with me. Thank you once again.